Welcome back, guys, to another video with Sports with Schu. Today we're going to be doing my top 10 receivers pre-combine. So this is after Senior Bowl. We have that film, but still before the combine, so there's still a lot of numbers for these guys that we don't have yet. But just looking at the class in general, there's not the top tier talent that there was last year, true wide receiver ones who you know are going to have an immediate impact, like Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith to an extent. There's a lot of ready to be wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, and then as you guys are going to see, I think that there's really 3 guys who I think have wide receiver 1 upside. Whether or not they reach that or how quickly they reach that, I'm not sure. But just a couple of guys I wanted to highlight who are outside my top 10 are Justin Ross, who is, when I say 22.1, that's the age that they're going to be one drafted. So he's a medium age, but he has a pretty crazy medical history, insane athleticism, and pretty good just overall talent. I can dive into that later after we see how he checks out at the combine. Christian Watson, he has good speed, okay run after the catch, good all around, 22.71 drafted. George Pickens is a guy who a lot of people are going to have in their top 10. I don't right now, just because I really want to see how he tests. He's only going to be 20.8, so he's not even going to be 21 by the time he gets drafted. But just with his injuries and stuff, I think I want to see a little bit more before I put him above some of these guys. And then another guy who didn't make my top 10 is Wandel Robinson out of Kentucky, I'm pretty sure. He has good speed, pretty good. I guess he's going to be labeled as a gadget player in the league, and he's going to be 21 when drafted. But getting into my top 10 pre-combine receivers, at number 10 we have, as you guys can see, Jalen Tolbert. He has prototypical wide receiver 1 size. He had a really good Senior Bowl, big riser, but he's also pretty old. He's going to be 22.9 when drafted. He seemed to be a pretty good route runner. Overall, he didn't create as much separation in the Senior Bowl as a guy a little bit higher on this list did, but he has wide receiver 1 size. He has pretty good hands. I didn't see many drops on his tape. He has decent speed, but he's a really fluid mover, and it looks like he has a good feel for the position, so I think he's going to translate pretty quick in the NFL, whether that's as a wide receiver 2 or 3, I'm not sure, because he is a little bit older, so he has more experience, and he seems ready to translate pretty quick, but I just don't know how high his ceiling is. Moving on here, at number 9, we have Calvin Austin, who some of you guys might have heard about by now, but he's probably one of the biggest risers after the Senior Bowl, just because he has pretty insane speed and acceleration. He's very sudden. He's pretty small. I want to say he's about 5'7", and he's going to be 22.8, so he is also on the older side. But I think he definitely has the capability to take the top off of a defense from day one in the NFL. I think he has potential to be more than just a gadget player. He has good hands, really good route running. I did not see him struggle to get off any kind of press on his tape or at the Senior Bowl. See, in my notes, I said he's like a mini Tyreek Hill, but when I make that comp, I know that Tyreek Hill, what makes him special is his speed and agility, but it's also his build at that size. He's so stocky and has the run after the catch to where if you hit him, he's not really going to get hurt. So he's a mini Tyreek Hill in the way that he moves. But what makes Tyreek Hill so special is he's a lot thicker than Calvin Austin is. But just in terms of the way that they move, they remind me a lot of each other. So at 9, we have Calvin Austin. I think he's going to also translate pretty quick. He's on the older side, but I don't think I ever see wide receiver 1 ceiling out of him either. Really a wide receiver 3, kind of, just to put more so in the slot, but possibly on the outside. And then I'm really excited to see what he's going to run at the combine. He should put up one of the best 40 times, especially because Jameson Williams can't participate. And then at number 8, we have Skye Moore. So I watched his tape versus Pitt. He's going to be 21 when he gets drafted. He's a very, very good route runner, one of the best in this class. He has good hands. He's pretty quick, and he has slightly above average speed. Definitely nothing like Calvin Austin. He does a really good job of getting off press, and on his tape at least, I don't know how many snaps I saw him take from the slot, so he really dominated nearly all from the outside. He's probably not going to be a great contested catch guy, but I also just didn't really see it on his tape. They never tested it. Or I guess he never got to test it because he also was kind of just always open. So as long as the QB didn't underthrow him, which I didn't see a whole lot of, he could just catch it in stride and go. He has pretty aggressive run after the catch, but he's also pretty easy to bring down. So some guys you'll see, kind of like Chris Olave, who you'll see higher on this list, he doesn't really have an aggressive run after the catch. He's not going to try and go through you at any point or act like he even wants to. But Skye Moore kind of isn't afraid of contact after the catch at all, but he's still pretty undersized and pretty easy to bring down. At number 7, we have David Bell. I'm not sure if I'm higher on him than most, but here, let's get rid of, I don't know what this is. I really like David Bell. He's got average speed, but he has really strong hands. He has really good route running, I think. And overall, I think he's a plus athlete. Between just suddenness, ability to move, he's pretty fluid. And he has very, very good run after the catch. His tape kind of popped off to me a little bit. He's going to be 21.1 when drafted, so kind of in the middle, possibly the younger side. But in terms of a overall just wide receiver 2, do a little bit of everything. He doesn't have insane speed, which is sort of trying to take over the NFL. So for Chargers fans, I think if he was there in the 3rd or 4th, I would like him. He's probably going to go before then. But for a team who's just looking for a reliable wide receiver 2 who can do a little bit of everything, run after the catch, some contested catch, pretty good route runner, I think David Bell is going to be one of the better receivers in this class and also translate pretty quick. At number 6, we have Johan Dotson. So I watched his games for Ohio State and first Michigan. He's going to be 21.8 when drafted. He's very sudden. He has decent straight line speed. I don't really think that's what he's going to be able to hang his hat on in the league, just pure burn you. But he does have the suddenness, the stop and go, the acceleration to succeed in getting open, and kind of makes route running just a little bit easier. He has very good hands as well. I want to say I didn't even see this on his tape, but I think he had one of the crazier one-handers a while ago. He has a little bit of run after the catch ability. And I really only put him right above Bell because he's a little bit better of an athlete, I think. He's a little bit older, but David Bell plus athlete, but Johan Dotson does have the suddenness and the acceleration. He should have a pretty good 10-yard split and 3-cone, but I just think with Johan, I still don't see the wide receiver 1 upside. I think he can come in and be definitely a very good wide receiver 3, very reliable, but I think his ceiling is probably an upper tier wide receiver 2. At number 5, we have, or I guess we're getting into the big 5 of this year's class. At the bottom of the big 5, I have Chris Olave. What everybody else has said, just looking at his tape, he is extremely smooth. He does create some separation. He has good hands. He's still only 21.5, which he's a senior, I want to say, because he could have declared last year, so I thought he was going to be a little bit older. And I watched his game versus Oregon, but it seemed like he got schemed open a good amount, and on tape, it just seemed like he had okay speed. I want to say he was a track guy, and he didn't show much run after the catch, kind of like I mentioned earlier. He has okay straight line speed and really good route running ability, so I think he's going to be a plus athlete and test well at the combine, but right now I have him below some of these other guys just because I really want to see what his 40 time is. Some guys are saying high 4.3s, which I would be pretty surprised. I didn't really see that on his tape, but overall, he's going to come in and be a pretty good wide receiver too. He is smooth. He creates separation. He would be a decent deep threat. And for the Chargers, at 17, I don't think I'll bluff him there. If we traded back late first round, then I could see it. But at 17, I don't think I would love Chris Olave, for the Chargers at least. At number 4, we have Treylon Burks. This is some people's wide receiver 1 in this class. I didn't really see that as much. He's going to be 21.8 when drafted. It feels weird saying 21.8, but he does have great speed and run after the catch for his size. He is another guy. Really, these next 3 guys, the combine is going to be a big tell as to whether they possibly shoot up to wide receiver 1 or drop down a little bit below some of these other guys. But he has good hands. I've heard some things that he's been struggling to keep his weight under control. He played at either I want to say 225 or 230, and some people had heard that he was getting up to 235, which that's the size of a linebacker. I would have some concerns with him at. He has good height, but carrying 235, even if you're 6'5", that would be a little bit much for the wide receiver position. Um, Overall, route running might be a concern. I didn't see much of it on tape in terms of creating separation just purely from the outside. That doesn't mean that he can't do it, but we haven't really seen much of it just because at Arkansas he was used a little bit like a gadget role. Here I have in bold wide back. I could pretty easily see him transferring into the NFL and being put into a Deebo Samuel sort of role in terms of getting a couple handoffs per game, playing from the slot, going in motion a lot, sometimes playing on the outside, but he does have the size to run after the catch. He has good hands. Overall, he has a good feel for the game too, so I could see him translating pretty quick. And it still wouldn't be wide receiver one for me, just because wide receiver one, I want somebody who can just dominate from the outside the whole game. Even if you know that they're going to him, you still struggle to stop it. I don't think Treylon Burks is that right now. But I do think he has a pretty high ceiling as a wide back in the NFL. My wide receiver 3, and we're now getting into the potential wide receiver 1. I could see them translating quickly as an elite wide receiver 2, but also starting with Garrett Wilson at 3. I think these guys have wide receiver 1 upside. So Garrett Wilson, he's probably the best all-around receiver in terms of all traits that you look for. He has the pretty elite separation, hands, run after the catch, contested catch. It's pretty good. It's not outstanding as one of these guys who's a little bit higher is. I really want to see how he measures and tests. He's also just 21.5 when he's going to be drafted. I watched first Oregon and Penn State, and he does move just a little bit different than the other receivers in this class. Like Jalen Tolbert, and mainly Jalen Tolbert, I think is going to translate really fast, and he just looks like he has a really good feel for the game. But Garrett Wilson, it's the tiny little intricacies, sort of like I'm not saying he is a Keenan Allen or Devontae Adams, but just in terms of setting up routes and the suddenness of breaks that he can have, I think is already at a pretty elite level, which the way that the NFL is moving and how much separation is valued, I do think that's what lands him in my top 3 and what could possibly get him drafted as the first wide receiver taken. And then from the game that I watched, it looked like he had better hands and separation than Olave. Most of the time I'm seeing Garrett Wilson above Olave. Sometimes I see it switch, but I think Garrett Wilson is a good amount better than Olave, and for sure has a higher floor, but I think also a higher ceiling. At number 2, he used to be my wide receiver 1. but we have Jameson Williams at number 2. This guy, it does just suck that he tore his ACL in the championship game. Bama probably would have ended up winning if he stayed healthy. I'm glad Bama didn't win. I go to LSU, but he just glides on the field. He doesn't have the jittery speed that a Tyreek Hill or Calvin Austin does. That's also big C. He's a little bit taller. I want to say 6'2". But if you look at his highlights, if you look at his tape, if you just watch the championship game or the semifinal, I've never seen anybody make up ground on Jameson Williams. At times, if he catches like a slant and a guy has a good angle, it will look like they're running kind of the same speed, but then once they get parallel to each other, it's just Jameson Williams all the way. He just takes off. And with these other guys, you can kind of just see either a corner or safety, even if they beat them on the route and catch a go ball or something, before they reach the end zone, you can still see other guys making up ground in the effort to tackle them before the end zone, obviously. Both Jameson Williams, I never saw anybody in college football make up ground. I think he probably would have ended up running in the 4.2s, probably high 4.2s, if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. He's a pretty good route runner too. He has contested catch ability, good hands, but the thing that he can truly hang his hat on is obviously the speed, which is taking over the NFL as well. And then the thing that blew me away the most, which is why he shouldn't fall outside of the top 20. He's not even going to be 21 when he's drafted. So even if he has to take the entire next year off, yes, that's still money that you have to pay him, just a little bit, but it's a year off the contract. He's only 20.8 when he's going to get drafted. So I want to say he was at Ohio State for 2 years and then transferred to Bama. But I don't know. I just didn't hear a lot about the background of Jameson Williams, and in my head, he was going to be 22 plus. I just felt like he had been in college football forever until he broke out, but he's not even 21 yet. So he could take a year off and still be below 22 by the time 2 seasons from now starts. And I could easily see him becoming a wide receiver 1 in the NFL within the next couple of years. Not the wide receiver 1 in the entire NFL, but you know what I mean. And then at number 1 for me, I can just put this right here, I have Drake London. This guy. Now here's a guy. At first, I want to say I had him probably 5th behind most of these other guys, Treylon Burks, Chris Olave, just the slightly bigger names guys. But he's 6'5", contested catch, absolute monster. PFF has a bunch of great stats, but I want to say he easily led all of college football in contested catches last year, and he only played 8 or 9 games, I think. He's not going to take the top off of a defense, but he has pretty good speed for his size. He has extremely good run after the catch ability. Most guys that size, yes, it's tough to bring them down, but it's kind of, they don't have a shiftiness to them. But for some reason with Drake London, guys just bounced off of him. He shed tackles pretty effortlessly. And he's also, I think, the youngest guy on this list. He's under 21. He's 20 and a half when he's going to be drafted. And I don't remember how severe his injury was, but I want to say he's going to be able to play year one. And for Chargers fans, I don't think I would be pretty floored if he was there at 17. If he was there at 17, even though I'm kind of going to be pounding the table to take a corner if one of the top guys is still there, possibly offensive tackle, possibly edge. But if Drake London is there, I would be floored, but also thrilled if the Chargers could get him. But I think that Drake London is going to come into the NFL day one and just be a problem for teams to defend. Left one-on-one, dude 6'5", amazing feel for the game, runs good routes, great hands. And if you put another Chargers example, but like Asante Samuel, has great burst, great ball skills, but if you put him, who's like 5'10", on Drake London, I'm more of a separation and speed guy, not as much contested catch, throw it up like Mike Williams, but Drake London really is just in a different tier, and I don't know if he's going to dominate the entire league his rookie year, but he's going to pose a threat to defenses every single week starting year one, and he's not even going to be 21 when he's drafted. So that wraps up my top 10-ish receivers in this class pre-combine. I'm going to try and get out some other top 10s for sure. Top 10 corners, I might do. Top 10 tackles, possibly interior O-line, edge, linebacker. Probably not quarterback, just because I don't really feel like scouting quarterbacks when we have Justin Herbert and it's already not a great class. I might do a top 5 or something just to get my thoughts out there. And I hope to get all those out there before the combine so that I can do fully updated post-combine ones as well. And then ideally still spit out some mock drafts occasionally and individual prospect breakdowns as well. But that should wrap up this video. Make sure that you guys like, subscribe. I think that my last mock draft has like 160 views, which hopefully one day I can look back at and be like, it's only 160, but my other videos only have like 30, so it's a lot for me. But please like and subscribe. You don't need to fucking share my videos on Instagram or anything, but that should conclude this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.